「 信心をまことの影もあなたの御心にかなうよう示しください。まことの信心をまことの影も我が心の我が心の
みんなの
将来道を立てる日、人をいて優しき御心の溢れる笑永遠の月が祈りを深め清きな夏の流れまことの信心をまことの影もあなたの御心にかなうよう示しください。まことの信心をまことの影も我が心の我が心の 将来道を立てる日、人をいて、優しき心の溢れる笑永遠の月日は祈りを深め、清きな万物の離れは続く。誠の信心を誠の影をあなたの御心にかなうよう示しください。誠の信心を誠の影を我が心の我が心の我が心の我が心の
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for attending today's prayer service as well as Shintoku Academy. So I'm trying something different today. I'm using a different camera and it kind of makes everything so bright. So it's kind of nice. So hopefully this will be something clearer. I'm just experimenting with it at this moment. Hopefully you can all hear me. Can you all hear me from here? I'm gonna push this up a little bit. Hola. Sorry. Maybe this will help a little bit. All right. So, oh look, I look closer. Perfect. Again, I'm just experimenting with this new device, and I'm hopefully, because it looks much clearer, and I don't see me all pixelated, so that's a good thing. So, thank you again for attending, coming today for today's Sunday service. And please note, if you have not yet done so, if you go to the YouTube description section on the bottom, there's a link for all the prayers. Hopefully you have a prayer book. If you don't, let me know so I can send you one. And also on that Google document are the hyperlinks to the additional prayers that we have that we don't have in the textbook. So please make sure you're there. Also, hopefully, if it hasn't been added, I'll add it into the chat room later on. And we're going to be using the chat room today, so hopefully you'll all be willing to use the chat room, and you can see the chat room for today's Shintoku Academy. But let's start today's prayer service with the prayer of sincere Toritsugi. So if you can hyperlink that, open that to the hyperlink, that'd be awesome. Let's begin. Prayer of sincere Toritsugi. I am a Konko Kyo believer. I believe in Ikigami Konko Daijin, Tenchi Kane no Kami. I have come today to practice my faith, appreciate and acknowledge the blessings, favors, and interventions of Tenchi Kane no Kami. Honor the ancestors and learn more about the faith of Konko Daijin. As I learn more about the heart of Tenchi Kane no Kami, I nurture the faith of my spiritual family. Thus, I boldly confess that my mind is alert, my heart is receptive, and I will never be the same as long as I practice the faith and receive Toritsugi. Kigami Konko Daijin sama, Tenchi Kane no Kami sama. Thank you. Let's begin today's service. Aide, 4 sincere claps. 天津のりと高万の原にかむずまります。かむろぎかむろみのみこともしてすめみよやかんにざなぎのみことつくしのゆうがんの立花のおどんのわうわぎ腹にみそぎ払いたまうときにあれませるいどんの狼たちもろもろのまがごと罪けがれを払いたまい清めたまえと申すことのよしよは待つ神国つかみやおよろずの神たち共にやめのうちこまんの耳振り立ててきこしめせとかしこみも申す。レア先生を手続き持ちまして歴代金剛様ご拝礼申し上げてますります。教祖神金剛大臣様拝礼申し上げてますよ。天地金の神を天地の大家神様ご拝礼申し上げてますよ。広大なお恵み影を被りまして野前もさんも時々国万事万端に広大になる御影を被りまして結構千万ありがたき御礼申し上げてますよ。教師、教頭、神道一度におきましては、全も三も一国万事万端に広大なる御影を被りまして、結構千万ありがたき御礼申し上げてますが、天が下打ち子一度に来ましても、日々いるよう万事万端に広大なる御影を被りまして、結構千万ありがたき御礼申し上げてます。一同のうちと広大なる道を続けくだされまして、結構千万ありがたき御礼申し上げてます。ご覧一同になり変わりまして、ご一礼申し上げてますります。共同神と一同をましたうちご一同におきましては、あまりかなるご無礼をそまつご刻りございましょうとも、何とぞ差し支えくだされますよう、お願い申し上げてます。親来来よりいかなるご無礼、罪、めぐりのございましょうとも、差し許しされますと、差し許しくだされまして、一同のうちご願いもお願い、成就万事万端都合よく、何とぞ安心のお御影をお願い申し上げてますります。Please open your prayer books to page 2 for the mediation prayer. Mediation prayer. Let us seek the sacred mediation of Ikigami Konko Daijin sincerely and wholeheartedly each and every day. May we receive the mediation anew, all our hearts and souls, on this day, this very moment. Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama, Ikigami Konko Daijin sama. Kami prayer. Page 3. Reverently we pray. The brilliance of heaven, the richness of earth. Time flows without cease. Years pass without end. In heaven and earth is a life that nurtures all. In heaven and earth is a truth that orders all. For this wondrous form, for these wondrous works, let us praise Tenchi Kane no Kami. Let us praise the divine parent of the universe. Kami loves and cares for all humanity, all those who live between heaven and earth. To revere Kami as divine parent, to live in Kami's infinite blessings. This is the way. Yet many, not knowing the way, are lost in greed and selfishness. They suffer the cycle of misfortunes. Great is Kami's sorrow. Our founding father, Konko Daijin, suffered many trials in this world, but held fast to faith and sincerity. He received Kami's great blessing and began the life of mutual fulfillment of Kami and humanity. Humbly we pray. The divine parent's great wish was thus fulfilled. Konko Daijin accepted the call to mediation that leads to the mutual benefit of Kami and humanity. By day, he taught the way of faith to all who sought him, expounding the blessings of heaven and earth. And he knew not the coming of night. By night, he prayed for those who grieved, seeking salvation for all who suffered. And he knew not the dawning of day. Though years passed and the world changed, he did not waver from his task, divine task of mediation. Thus was given the sacred Tenchi Kakitsuke, the guiding principle for our daily life. Divine favor was thus renewed, and blessings flowed universally, establishing the way of eternal prosperity, the way of mediation of Ikigami Konko Daijin. By this wondrous revelation, we are given knowledge of the way. Through all the hardships of this world, through pain of body and soul, the way of mediation teaches us to turn our hearts to Kami. Without regard for day or night, whether we are near or far, the way of mediation teaches us to pray with total trust. For living unaware of divine favor, we offer our sincere apologies and pledge to mend our ways. Let us live our faith every day, seeking and rejoicing in your divine favor. Let us care for those in pain and invite them to the way. Let us guide those who are lost and awaken them to a life of purpose. Kami is fulfilled in us. We are fulfilled in Kami. May this way of mutual fulfillment be manifested in this world. May Kami's wish for true peace and the well-being of all people be fulfilled. So we humbly pray. So we earnestly pray. Prayer for grace. Kami-sama, give me grace for this day, not for a lifetime, nor next year, next month, next week, or tomorrow. Yes, give me grace just for this day. Direct my work and bless it. Advise me in the things I say and give them blessings too. Direct and bless everything that I think, do, and speak, so for this one day I have the gift of grace that comes from your presence. Kami-sama, just this one day, let me live generously and kindly in a state of grace and goodness that makes me a little bit like you. Shintoku Academy silent prayer. Please offer your hearts and prayers to Kami-sama at this time.サンディエゴ教会長代の御霊、ますますごきれいのでお願い申し上げてますります。本土的な前、大阪教会、日広教会、上戸屋教会、東教会をはじめ、各教会ともごきれい発展のお見かけをお願い申し上げてますります。では先生におかれましては、病気、病難のございませんよう、体ご丈夫、ご寿命を長久、日々昼夜安治万端を差し支えなく、きれいとでお願い申し上げてますります。この度の新型コロナウイルス感染症流行におきましては、早かに収束を出しますよう、感染し事項におきましては、早かに病気併誘全開いたしますよう、医療に 携わる無事故におきましては、無事安全に注意出しますようお願い申し上げます。安静により亡くなりましたる事故の御霊下で安心心の御影をお願い申し上げます。国家民族の争いをはじめ、現在事変による被災地の復興、成就や使わされますよう、行方不明の事故におきましては、早くに身元判明のいたしますよう、亡くなりましたる事故の御霊下で、安心の御影をお願い申し上げます。さおをはじめ、公務員並びに勤めの事故におきました日々の受け差しさえございますよう、一節成就安心の恩を繰り合わせをつかされますようお願い申し上げます。東京の事故は電池で墓の身の意欲、法主の災いの受けの次もございませんよう。ご法上、宇宙に至るまで無事安全、一切同時安心のやせ、お願い申し上げます。衝動の事故におきましては、障害繁盛会話とも強よく使えます。差し支えなく、それぞれを長寿安心のやせ、お願い申し上げます。職業の事故は日々、昼夜晩時万端に差し支えございますよう、一節長寿安心の御礼をお願い申し上げます。老中三中働く事故は足の患い、怪我過ち、ご長のございますよう、万事安心のおせをお願い申し上げます。航空会に働く事故は足くとの都合力、不意時、不難、過ちなく空路海上地安全に進み、長寿安心のやせをお願い申し上げます。同僚の事故は過ちのございますよう、いずれも大量のお願い申し上げます。業務にあれましたる事故は、それぞれ業務を授け出されまして、一度安心のお願い申し上げます。悪行の事故におきましては、体丈夫と相なり、病気、病難、過ちございませぬよう、思想に過ちございませぬよう、不良上手身の安全のやせをお願い申し上げます。認知の事故はチームの苦言なく、無事安産、早かに日立ちまして、体の丈夫、達者の愛なりますよう生まれる方におきました無事成長、最次元の身を授けつかさわれますようお願い申し上げます。心へ誓いのうちは早かに心をつき、改心させていただきまして、一度安心のお願いをお願い申し上げます。その他、急病、死病、長病、流行、疫病、傷病、怪我、過ち、難情のうちとは、早かに病気、平優、恋愛、体丈夫、達者、健康上の長久の御影をお願い申し上げます。京都新都一道線、親代々の御霊、これまでいかなるごこで常にございます。場所ともお指し伝われまして、御霊を道立て、道一等安心の御影をお願い申し上げます。京都新都一道におきましては、病気、病難、不治難、災難、避難、不幸せのございませぬよう、避難困難ございませぬよう、体丈夫達者、家業成就、円満願い成就、万事万端、強力安心のお願い申し上げます。まだ信じしませぬうちご、病気、病難、不治難、災難、不都合、不幸せになるうちご、または天地のご恩を知らせませぬうちごとも身を引き寄せくだされまして、信心させていただきまして、一応安心のお願い申し上げます。 もえともかんながらかりをしえみしみかしていただきますようお願い申し上げたてまつります。今日と神と一同におきましては、信心の道を過つことなくございませぬ。行うことなくございますよう、ますます信心を済ましていただきまして、日々かなる願い事をいたしましょうとも、即座に御影を授けくだされまして、日々をありがたく、素晴らしく、嬉しく、楽しく、何時間、感想よく、何度と安心のお願いをお願い申し上げてます。歴代金光様、教祖生き神金光大臣様、天地金の神様、何度と皆を聞きお届けくだされまして、連絡御影を授けくだされますよう、道団や先生になれておりまして、お願い申し上げてまつります。ご神号報書 The recitation of金光大臣 Sacred Name。生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様、生き神金光大臣様。Please turn to page 29 for Shintoku Sanji. Shintoku Sanji. 仰ぎ祭れば天高く、仰ぎ祭れば天高く、おろがみ祭れば地は厚し、神の恵みに生かさるるみの幸いぞありがたき我が生き神の御取り次ぎ一人もかくる時のなく天地の神の御守りと吉かきの隔てなし神につくしみはよろずよにやまねく道で果てしなく感計らいは薄しくて人の思いぞ及ばざる我ら今月本日やび祭りでひたすらに神の御影をたたえ祭らん神の慰霊を仰ぎ祭らん。Prayer for the ending of the novel coronavirus pandemic. 日神金光大臣様、天地金の神様、日神金光大臣様、天地金の神様。We offer our hearts of appreciation for your love and virtue as we are allowed to live in this very moment. Currently, a pandemic is rapidly spreading throughout the world. The novel coronavirus pandemic is causing much concern and raising anxieties amongst people and nations. Thus, we offer our hearts and prayers to you to end this pandemic as soon as possible. Sadly, there are those who have passed away because of this virus, and we put our hands together to pray for their spirit's peace and salvation. We also pray for those who are infected by the virus to quickly heal and recuperate in order that they may continue to contribute to society and the world. We pray for political economical, and educational reform, so that all the anxieties and distrust we have been harboring will dissipate, and we will be blessed with societal order. For those that are suffering in the midst of this pandemic, please allow their faiths to be resurrected and their livelihoods be restored. Thus, now more than ever, we commit to reviving our hearts of appreciation, having a heart of kami, and praying for and guiding others. May we all be awakened to your truth that a faith that helps others helps ourselves. Use us to help you in this crusade to end this pandemic and bring peace to this world. It is our sincere prayer that the people of the world will not only have peace of mind, but also live happily, safely, and healthily. ひがみ金光大臣様、天地金の神様。ひがみ金光大臣様、天地金の神様。Friday, 4 sincere claps. Friday, 4 sincere claps.本部広前をはじめ、大阪教会、難波教会、内広教会、東京教会、水谷教会、サンフランシスコヤ教会、サンディエゴ教会、北サンディエゴカウンティ集会、春方に校舎のご礼前にお祭り申し上げております。御霊の神様、ありがとうございます。神取十平の御霊の神、神取下の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。主大白神、いや広み、広間道分けの御事の御霊の神、二大白神、道をきや高根の君の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。稲垣貞七入士、豊木牛の御霊の神、本土逸垣、淵森、秋高く、君の御霊の神、本土梅子、マーシー、真心、玉津湯姫の御霊の神、畑徳三郎、東の道分けの牛の御霊の神、畑はじめ牛の御霊の神、畑清志牛の御霊の神、畑小美子姫の御霊の神、福田義明の君の御霊の神、福田信子姫の御霊の神、松井文雄牛の御霊の神、松井文子姫の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。湯川康太郎入試満ちてるに柱牛の御霊の神、湯川秀沖たらし満ちてる姫の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。湯川茂牛の御霊の神、湯川智代姫の御霊の神、湯川康夫牛の御霊の神、湯川真理子姫の御霊の神、湯川誠一牛の御霊の神、湯川津屋姫の御霊の神、湯川信直牛の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。湯川典和牛の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。湯川家、牧野家、高橋家、白石家、ピッテティツ家、丹家、ブスケ家、ベベンス家、中尾家、土井家、矢田家、渋谷家、青岡家の先導代々の御霊の神様、ありがとうございます。スピース家、キス家、ペレア家、ココスカ家、白家、東千尋の家の御霊の神、服部家、神林家、ミッ家、ドラン家、野添家、フレン家、浅野家、シュリラティ家、須藤家、野口家、楠木家、宮井家、長島家、デイメス家、オブライン家、デロウェイ家、上家、木野家、角田家、田中家、田中兵信の家の御霊の神、田中義雄の家の御霊の神、安藤光弘の家の御霊の神、谷口好みの家の御霊の神、増田助介、河野家、飯森家、瀬川家、浦田家、ブラウン家、テッラッパ家、 長家、松井家、松野家、岡崎家、ロペンズ家、ゴンズ家、キャルクン家、藤本家、伊藤和子の家の御霊の神、モリー家、ウェルチェル家、ファニンス家、ヘック家、ポーツメン家、アイゼックス家、モーリス家、マーカワ家、オーラー家、サハラ家、サカタ家、ズーモ家、ホリンズワース家、ギルモー家、菅原家、横塚家の先祖代々の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。ホルル教会、笠岡教会、脇山教会、広尾教会、東畑教会、西岩教会、芝教会、風の教会のご霊前にお祭りを申し上げております。御霊の神様、ありがとうございます。高橋家に関係にあるご霊人様、高橋家、宮本家、長川家、羽生家、森本家、岩下家、山城家、堀里家、青野家、グリーンハウス家、福田家、月山家、小垣家、デヘスス家、大畑家、新宅家、井田家、本家の先祖代々の御霊の神様、ありがとうございます。ビーロ家、バーチ家、バーチョ家、ダッツン家、ダッチャー家、ヒル家、アッメン家、インメン家、ミー家、ミッ家、オブライン家、ラッソ家、ウェインライ家の先祖代々の御霊の神様、ありがとうございます。正幸、牛の御霊の神、児玉菊江、姫の御霊の神、佐岡金光大臣様、本省大明神、足春子姫の御霊の神、柴田春子姫の御霊の神、大場愛子姫の御霊の神、大場正則氏の御霊の神、清水幸喜彦の御霊の神、東光姫の御霊の神、高橋須子姫の御霊の神、寺貞子姫の御霊の神、岩崎さ姫の御霊の神、京子、児玉京子ドーティ大戸寺の御霊の神、石松梅子姫の御霊の神、大田玉姫の御霊の神、坂井春子姫の御霊の神、坂井和子姫の御霊の神、一高龍右衛門牛の御霊の神、山中清志和の牛の御霊の神、内田美里都寺の御霊の神、ありがとうございます。サンディゴ教会の関係にあるご霊人様、北サンディゴカウンティ集会の関係にあるご霊人様、春型に校舎の関係にあるご霊人様、サンディゴカウンティの事故、アリゾナ州の事故、ネバダ州の事故、ハワイ州の事故、テキサス州の事故、メキシコ合衆国の事故のご霊人様、熱く熱く御礼もしゃげたてまつります。Please open your prayer books to page 11 for prayer to the departed souls. Spirits of those who have gone before us, you are given the gift of life in this vast and endless universe. You discharge your duties faithfully, each according to your span of years. You will be remembered eternally, your lives retold from generation to generation, honored as the foundation of our society and the roots of our families. We revere you as the ancestral spirits of our homes, our own divine spirits. We beseech you, stand by us each and every one. Receive the favor of Kami and help us to fulfill our tasks as people without failing. Protect us, guide us, enrich us, that we may never lose the way of faith, that we hand it down to old generations, that we may live in peace and prosperity within our homes. Protect us, guide us, enrich us. Sosen Sanji, page 39, or 36, page 36. Sosen Sanji. よいよのぼやは我が家の神我が神と心尽くしていつきまつらんな心尽くしていつきまつらんな尊き御親の神たちよ海の子のために家の柱を沈め立てたまいはずこのために世の愛を守り助けた たまい、かぐりよのみえぬさかいに、ましませどもみぎつくしみのみ心は、うつしよに変わらせたまわず、さきみたまのまさきく、さきはえたまいくしみたまのくしりにめぐみたまいて、志はまきの柱の動きなくなりはひは結ぶ、つなめのゆるびなくま心清らに励みつとめしめたまいるからやからやわらぎやいてひりけんにうらよすく楽しましめたまい、ついに移しよのことを得て神の御門に参らん時には必ずしも迎え取りたまい、右つくしみよ葬らしめたまわんものと神の実りの大変なるを足込みかたじけな耳親の恵みのおぼろげならぬを嬉しみ喜び申すことを見心もすずやかにひこしめしたまえと申す。アナクシビのみおやのみたま、アナクシビのみおやのみたま、アナトトのみおやの神、アナトトのみおやの神。Please turn to page 19 for newly departed soul prayer. Newly departed soul prayer. Spirit of the newly departed, we love you now and forever. Fond memories of you fill our hearts, and we shall miss your physical presence. Yet you will remain in our hearts forever. We pray for your eternal happiness. We sincerely pray with heart and soul. As a beloved child of Kami, you were given the gift of life and sought to live it fully each and every day. As you leave your physical form, please listen to our prayers. Whether in your physical or spiritual form, the universe is your eternal home. May you always be blessed with a peaceful heart. Know that you are always embraced by Kami's love. Haide. Haide. 玉だすきかけて祈らなよよのや、親のみ親の神の支配を。玉だすきかけて祈らなよよの親、親のみ親の神の支配を。入れ。入れ。Please open your prayer books to page 6 for recitation of Tenchi Kakitsuke. Ooh, I feel sideways. 生き神金光大臣天地金の神一心に願え、影は我が心にあり、今月今日で頼め。 Pray sincerely with all your heart. Be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within, hearts grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day, pray. Haide. I'm going to come over there. I'll be right there. I'm so sorry. I cannot read any of those comments at the moment. Oh my gosh, you speak Spanish. Adam, I didn't know that. Aloha, everybody. Oh, so hopefully this camera is doing a little bit better. I have to learn to kind of get used to it. Actually, it looks so much clearer. So hopefully it's clearer for all of you as well. So today is our Benkyo Kai or study group, our study session. And so let's get started with that. So if you have not been able to, here's what I'm going to do. Let me get the link again. In the chat room is the link. It'll take you to a Google Drive, to a place to take notes. So so if you want to take notes on your computer, that's fine. I'm going to make you do a lot of reflection, but I want you to. We're going to talk about a topic that I shared that is part of the Shintoku Academy curriculum. By the way, you guys have gone through at least a third of the whole curriculum. A third of the whole curriculum. The other third is all kind of hands-on kind of things, and I don't know how I would ever be able to finish the first, and that's just the beginner's level, but you guys have finished like a third of it. Well, with this it'll be 1/3 of it, but I did this part of Shintoku Academy at the 2019 conference, just a small part of it, and so hopefully we can get a majority of it done. But if you go in there, there's a folder. In the folder is just a note paper, and hopefully I gave you the PDF file that I put in there. Place the PDF file. So let me pull up my PowerPoint so we can get started. Okay. And then share screen. Nope, I don't want that. So hopefully you guys can see the screen. I have no clue what it looks like. I can figure it out right now. Oh, here we are. Okay. Oh, it came out pretty nice. If I disappear, that's because I'm trying to make it nice and big for all of you. All right, so hopefully this is nice and big for all of you. So let's begin. So today's Shintoku Academy focuses on the topic of offerings. And we're going to use the chat room. For some reason, the Pear Deck isn't working with my Google things on my Google end, and I didn't want to use a Kahoot today. I wanted to do a Pear Deck, but fortunately that's not going to work too well. So let me start with this. We'll begin with this. So today's Shintoku Academy lesson deals with offerings. And so my first question is, when you hear the word offering, what comes to your mind? So what I want you to do is just kind of write down. I'm going to give you some time. Just kind of write down what words come to your mind when you hear the word offering. So just kind of write down, what is it? What words come to my mind? Give you some time. Just be honest with your response. I think that's the best kind of response to give. It's a very honest response. Are you talking about the screen, Mark? I kind of like that. That's why I chose it. It looks kind of cool. So I think some of you have gotten your responses down. So I'm going to assume, so I'm just going to make this assumption that some of you, when you hear the word offerings, you think of helps to maintain church and pay bills. I'm not even kidding you when this is actually something that was told to me. When I was sitting at the mediation seat, there was a believer who came up and said, "Do you know, Todd Sensei, I buy the most expensive rice in the whole world." And I'm like, what are you talking about? So someone, and they were talking about Goshinmai. We'll talk about Goshinmai later on, but you're actually talking about Goshinmai. All they want is money, quick, rich scheme, and prosperity gospel. And I'm sure you probably maybe have something different written, but here are some things that some people think about when they think of churches and offerings. But the fact of that matter is, it's not necessarily true in Konkokyo. But what is true is that yes, offerings do help the church does help to maintain the church. It does help to buy the offerings for church services, and yes, it does help other functions of the church. So what's interesting is though, is it here? Hold on 1 second. I cannot read what I wrote. Oh, not here. So, so all of these are true, that people's hearts, people's offerings help to take care of this. So there's a facility for people to come to and pray at, or seek. I think, she used such a beautiful word. Seek a place to just find solace, or just a place to find peace. There's a word in Hawaiian, and I can't translate it into English for some unknown reason. But anyway, but I believe that there's more to offerings. I truly do believe that there's more to offerings than meet the eye. And so that's what we're going to look at today. So first of all, here's question 1. So if you have the, not question 1, this is question 2. But if you have the note sheet, you're able to download it. There's a question 2. Here in question 2, I want you to think about the last time you took your parent out to get something to eat. And think about why you took them out to eat. Kind of write that down. Let me give you about a minute to think about the last. And I know for some of us it's last year to take them out somewhere, or maybe you brought them food or something, but think about when the last time was. And why did you take them out? All right. All right, so hopefully, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because I believe it's a strong belief, and I really believe this, that offerings help to create a relationship between you and your ancestors, you and Kami-sama. So if we look at this teaching here from Yoshihara Ryozo, it says, if one cannot practice faith without offering money, then the poor will have to die. If one cannot practice faith without offering money, then the poor will have to die. In other words, in Konkokyo, an offering is not a requirement. And it is true, an offering is not a requirement. However, it is, and it's not a requirement to creating a relationship, but it helps with this relationship. So I want you to make that loud and clear. An offering is not a requirement. No one is requiring anyone to make an offering. And that's one of the most interesting things about Konkokyo. We don't require an offering. We don't require you to pay so much a month, or we don't expect you to pay 10%, do 10% tithing. That is all voluntary. It is completely 100% voluntary. Actually, not necessarily. We don't necessarily discourage offerings. Let me show you why. So when we think about offerings, this is a relationship. Offerings is a relationship between you and Kami-sama. It has absolutely nothing to do with the minister. So it has nothing to do with me. Don't even think about me. It has nothing to do with the church. I know of a number of churches where the head minister, their son or daughter will take over the church, or their son and daughter is out working just so that they can keep the church alive, because they don't have that much offerings, and no one is requiring of anything. So that's, I think, huge. Your offerings are really between you and Kami-sama, whether it's to the church or to your home altar. Whether it's to your church or to your home altar, it is your relationship. And this is why I asked you that question. When was the last time you took your parent out, and why did you do it? Did you take your parent? It's kind of like taking your parent out. Hey, mom, dad, I want to take you out because I appreciate you. I love you. I just want to spend time with you. I just want to spend time with you. Or did you take your parent out because you needed money from them? You needed something from them? You needed them to watch your kids for the next week? What was the reason why? So do you see where there's a difference in relationship here? In Kong, and we're going to get into that a little bit more, but this is an offering. It shouldn't have anything. There should be no attachments to it, except you want to show your parents your love, your appreciation, how much you care about them. You want to create that stronger relationship with them. And that's what offerings can do. That's what offerings can do. Offerings do not have to be very elaborate. If you look at this altar setting here, this is my home altar in Hawaii, and my dad every morning offers a cup of coffee. This that little light blue white cup. Sorry, I took this in. I think I took this at night, so it had kind of evaporated a bit, but my dad does this every morning. He fills up to a certain part, and then the rest of the coffee is his. But the first thing he does is he offers that cup to his family, his parents, his sisters, his siblings, his cousins, father-in-law, and to those who came before us. That's who my father offers it to. It's something very simple. Every morning I do what's called hatsumizu. Hatsumizu. Hatsu means the first. Mizu means water. It is the first water offering. And it is before I drink anything, whether it be water, orange juice, or coffee, before I drink anything, the first thing I do is the first water is offered to Kami-sama, to Konko-sama, and to the ancestors. The first water, before I even drink a thing, goes to Kami-sama. And that's to create that relationship, to not forget Kami-sama. For me, is to create that relationship. You know, but what's also interesting is, and I want to go to what Mark had said, that Konkokyo tends to discourage offerings. Actually, we don't. And actually, back in Hawaii, and in Brazil to some extent, and in Japan during the Konko Daijin's time, people never brought money. People didn't bring money as offerings to say thank you. Instead, to say thank you was food items that were brought. Sometimes it was monetary items, but it was food items that were brought to say thank you. I remember in Hawaii, we had that same concept. People would bring food items to say thank you to Kami-sama because money was short and tight. People would make mochi. I remember for Godaisai, we had this man, Mr. Sugai, the day of Godaisai, he would go off on his boat, and he would catch on every Godaisai. This is true. He caught a huge ahi. I don't know what that is in mainland terms. I don't know what that is, but he caught a huge ahi. We never had to buy. The church never had to buy fish. But when he was asked, why do you do this? Mr. Sugai, why do you do this? Because I have received so much okage. This is the least I can do to say thank you to Kami-sama. The least. And so we are so lucky because after Godaisai, we were all able to partake of that ahi as sashimi. I forgot who cut it up, but someone actually cut the whole thing up, scaled it, cleaned it, cut it, and we had fresh sashimi for Godaisai, for our grand ceremonies. But this is because he wanted to do this. But he offered the fish. There's a lady who used to bring, the sensei from Brazil, Reverend Suenaga, used to say that people used to bring meats. In Brazil, it was hard. They were saying, tuna, thank you, tuna. It was hard because monetarily they didn't have anything because people were bringing food. So they were fortunate enough that their parent church was helping them out monetarily. But it just shows that this is people's hearts and their appreciation. It's towards kami. They wanting to have this closer relationship to kami. Osonai or offerings is also a development of one's faith. So if you look here, I thought this was the cutest thing. This is at Reverend Matsuoka's wedding. And we honored her ancestors at that time. And, I talked to Reverend Matsuoka and her fiance at the time. I said, I want you guys to offer something to your ancestors during the ceremony in appreciation to them. And they chose things that they enjoyed. So they would offer up things that they enjoyed. In this case, I forgot what these were. The first two on the left side were. One is sake. I think one is bourbon. And the other is, if you can't tell, it's a Starbucks drink. And it was a very specific Starbucks drink. Very specific. But it's a development of one's faith. Because I forgot who I was talking to, but slowly you begin to realize, for example, my offering, at my home, in my home altar, the cups change. Because I thought, I love this cup. This cup's much more nicer than the other one. And so I'll change it because I prefer a different cup. The offerings will begin to look different. The offerings here, if you've ever noticed, are offerings in January, February, March, and April. I love to do offerings. It's one of my favorite things, but I love to make it look special. I'm so passionate about it. I really want to I want to have a really fun, special relationship with Kami-sama. So our offerings in February are all red, practically red. The offerings in March are practically green. And the offerings in April are pastel colors. And it's just, I'm so passionate about that. I want to have this closer, fun relationship with Kami-sama. So, in question 3, so you have 1, 2, we finished, we're up to question 3. Just kind of hearing these things about osonai. Now, what are your thoughts and what questions do you have about offerings? Just kind of write them down on that paper. And I'll give you about 1 minute. 1 minute. So it says question 3. If you could answer that question, what thoughts and questions do you have about offerings? All right. So let's learn a little bit more about offerings here. In this picture you see is Reverend, on the left side, I think it's on my left, on my right side is Reverend Santaro Sonoda, and his wife, Reverend Sueka Sonoda. And I put that offerings is not a bribe because some people will come to the okekai or the mediation seat with an offering and then they start asking for things from Kami-sama. And Sonoda Sensei, there's a story. I interviewed the older members many moons ago of the Waipahu Church. And Reverend Sonoda is the founding minister of the Waipahu Church. And one of the believers shared this story with us, and she was saying how just after the war, her son had been in a coma for a while. And she finally went to church. She went to church and to otodoke, or to seek mediation from Sonoda Sensei. And she had an offering. And she placed the offering onto the altar, and she asked Sonoda Sensei, please, my son has been in a coma for a long time, and he hasn't waken up, and I don't know what to do. Please pray that my son will wake up. Sonoda Sensei returned the offering back to that mother and said, this Kami-sama does not accept bribes. Of course, I'm going to pray for your child, but I will not accept this offering. You will return in 1 week when your child wakes up, and you can bring that offering then in appreciation to Kami-sama, but I will not accept this offering. So I don't know about you, but some people might be upset, and this woman was upset, and she went home, she walked home, I remember her saying, and all she could think of was, how dare Sensei not accept this? I came all the way here. Of course, her prayer really was for her son. However, what's interesting is this. Sonoda Sensei said, you can bring this back 1 week later when your son wakes up. Literally, 1 week later, her son woke up from the coma. And this woman was so filled with gratitude that she walked back to church with the same offering. And she went to place it on there's a thing that we have, like a tray. And then she put it there, and Sonoda Sensei said, your offering has already been received by Kami-sama. Already received. But she kept saying, no, please take this. You have to. Like, she insisted because she was so grateful. And with that, Sonoda Sensei says, this is the heart that Kami-sama receives this offering. It is with this heart that Kami-sama receives this offering, a heart of appreciation. And I thought that was so interesting. I thought that was such a powerful episode to keep in mind, because once I heard that, it had formed in my mind that I'm not giving an offering to bribe Kami-sama. I'm giving an offering in appreciation to Kami-sama because I've been allowed to do something, because I received this type of okage. That's important. That's such an important concept to remember. What Sonoda Sensei said about your offering has already been received, he's not the first to say that. There are a few episodes in if you have this is the kyoten, the Japanese version, and then if you have the I'm really trying to get used to this. The kyoten gorikai, the English version. There's also Portuguese version. Sorry, there's no Spanish version. But if you have there's 1 and 2. If you read those stories, there's a few times where Honko Daijin says your heart has already been received by Kami-sama. There's a very famous story at the Honko Church of Amagi, which is in Fukuoka Prefecture, where someone was trying to offer a fish. The fish disappeared, but the founding minister, Reverend Matsutaro Yasutake, said, your offering has already been, without saying anything, without this believer saying anything, Yasutake Sensei said, your offering has already been received by Kami-sama. Kami-sama has received your heart. So here's where, where it's all about your heart and your relationship with Kami-sama. That relationship with Kami-sama. And I know I'm emphasizing this relationship, but I cannot help to say why this is just so important. So important. I think we're on 3 or 4. I'm not quite sure. But let me ask you, what are your, I love that. What are your thoughts about offerings now? What are your thoughts about offerings now? I'll give you about 1 minute. I want you to think about that. What are your thoughts about offerings at this moment? That now that you're hearing a different perspective, seeing a different perspective. All right. Someone heading into the home stretch here. So, as I keep saying, offerings have to come from the heart. And there's a lot of things that can become offerings. So, let me share with you this story about Jedi Kawahatsu, who's Reverend Kawahatsu's daughter. When I was training at the San Francisco church for 3 months, I have no clue why I was left that church by myself. And Jenny had come in and she ran up to the Okeka and she said, Todd Sensei, can I do a crazy dance for Kami-sama? And I thought, what is she thinking? Like literally, I did not think the best of it, but I thought, what is she thinking? Why does she want to do a crazy dance? So I asked her, so Jetty, why do you want to do a crazy dance? And Jetty said to me, because I want to make Kami-sama laugh. And when I think about her response, I kind of get a little verklempt, a little emotional, because that hit me so hard. How many of us want to make Kami-sama laugh? How many of us want to have that joyous, fun relationship with Kami-sama? And of course I said, Jenny, go, dance. And she did. She was doing, I have no clue what she was doing. She was doing a funny dance. But in her heart, this is something she wanted to do to make Kami-sama happy, to let Kami-sama laugh. She was creating that relationship with Kami-sama. And I think that is so powerful. I think she had to be in preschool. I think she was preschool at that time. I think. I could be wrong. Preschool or first or second grade, somewhere in that vicinity. But that really touched me. That truly touched me. An offering can be almost anything. It can be a stone. In fact, we have stories about someone who offered a stone to Konko-sama. Water, the hatsumizu that I was telling you about. Coffee. When I lived on my own in Tokyo, the first thing I did while eating breakfast was I offered coffee to Kami-sama, Mitama-sama. Mochi. Of course, monetary items is fine too. Dance, we have the kibimai. Some people do Japanese classical dancing. I remember someone doing the sign language type of dancing as well, are such beautiful ways. If you look at this altar setting here, if you can look at this altar setting, these are, this is for my parent minister, Reverend Kikue Kodama. I became a minister under her. And every time we would have her memorial service, I always requested to do her service. I always requested to do her the offerings for her. And in the back of, I know in back of the candles, you won't be able to see it, but there is poinsettias. There's poinsettias because Christmas, she loved. Kodama Sensei loved Christmas. She loved that feeling of familia. She loved that feeling of her family being close to her. She loved the food, of course. She loved the food. In Hawaii, Christmas is a little different. And so I was always so grateful to her. This is what I want to do for her. this is what I wanted to do for her. I wanted something so special. And every year, I have been so honored to do her, except the past 2 years, but I have been so honored to do her service, the offerings for her service. And sometimes I get a little carried away, I'm not going to lie, but still, it's all things that she loved, all things that she appreciated, especially the Christmas decor. That's part of all of this. But I think I've asked a lot of questions. Let me ask you, and here's where I'm not going to ask you to write on the paper. I'm not going to ask you to write on the paper. Here's where I'm going to ask you to kind of place your response in the chat room. Just share with us. What do you offer to Kami-sama and Mitawa on your own? Not here at church, not here at church, at your own home altars. What do you offer? So go ahead. Let me give you 1 minute and feel free to type your answer into the chat. So don't hesitate. Go ahead. Share with all of us. If you want to type it in Espanol, don't worry. We have people who can translate for you. Well, you guys are so shy. I'm glad it has you rethinking. Awesome. Anybody else want to join? Share? Wow, you're all so quiet. I feel like you're my students. So you might think, wow, this is really weird, Todd Sensei. Why would you offer hamburgers and cheeseburgers? According to my dad, it was his brother who liked cheeseburgers from McDonald's and his sister who liked hamburgers. I don't know why the difference. And so when we have my aunt's service, light water, alcohol, sure. Whenever we have their services, my cousin picks up 10 cheeseburgers and 10 hamburgers. Oh, I love lights. Lights are so beautiful. Candles are so beautiful. Yes. Let me show you really one of the pictures. This is Reverend Yoshino. He passed away, I cannot remember how many years ago. But everything on this altar that you see there are things that he liked, things that he enjoyed eating. If I'm correct, Koichi Sensei, for one of the, and this was for his funeral, the different funeral rites, he had the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 day rites. And I cannot remember which one it was, but he was running around looking for unagi or eel because Sensei loved unagi. And he went out of his way to find the unagi, the best unagi he could find. And and that just shows that relationship you have with your mitama. When I did this particular service, it was over 2 days, and I spent maybe close to 8 hours shopping for the right items, for the right things, making sure everything I wanted was there. So it's about that connection, that relationship with your ancestors, that relationship with Kami-sama. That's what we are trying to create. That's what offerings is. And it's, again, not mandatory, but when you do, can you imagine how happy that is? Kami-sama, you're creating that relationship with Kami-sama. However, there is an offering that my spiritual mentor has told me, and a number of other ministers have shared, that really is one of the greatest offerings that you can give, and that is of your time. Your time. So time doing goyo or help, let's say helping to clean the church, that is something you cannot get back. You cannot get time back. Kami-sama can compensate you. Believe me, Kami-sama, I have been. Kami-sama can compensate you for money. Kami-sama can compensate you for a whole bunch of other things. But the one thing Kami-sama cannot give you back is time. And by doing service to Kami-sama, or what we call goyo, during that service with the heart of appreciation, of saying thank you to Kami-sama, you cannot imagine how much that makes Kami-sama happy. That is an offering. The offering of your time is huge, huge, huge. When you travel from where you are to church, that time you can never get back. You cannot get that time back. The fact that you went to church service to give thanks to Kami-sama with the right heart, you cannot get that time back. And you can own. And if you go with such a negative mindset, you've just wasted that time. That has not become okage. You know, so I want you to think about that. It's huge. Time is the greatest offering you have to Kami-sama. However, I want to make it absolutely clear, you are not more special than anybody else. Let me share with you a story. There was I remember speaking with these believers at a conference, and this lady was kind of upset, and he had shared that she and her husband had gone to Konkokyo headquarters, and he had told me that I'm so mad, and I was like, why? They said, because we went to Konkokyo headquarters, and you know we're from the West Coast, and we flew all the way over to Japan, and we did toritsugi, and Konko-sama didn't say a single word to us. And typically, let me show you something really quickly. So typically, Konko-sama, when they give you goshinmai, I think you can see this, they typically write goshinmai here and the person's name here. Okay? So they write, however, this person said, but we're so mad at Konko-sama because Konko-sama, there was nothing written. He just gave us the goshinmai, and there was only one, let me show you, what we call goshintai. The goshintai, there was only one of this inside. How rude, how terrible. These people thought that because they came from the West Coast, they traveled from the West Coast all the way to headquarters, that they deserve to be treated special. That they deserve to be treated with some kind of, royalty or something. And Konko-sama reflected Kami-sama's heart to them. That I'm not impressed. You came with this heart expecting special services. I'm not impressed. Because you are not any more special than the other believers around you. You're not special. You're not more special than someone else just because you have the financial ability to offer more. No. Or you offered all of these offerings or what. No, you're not that much more special. No, you're not. Or because you think believe me, there are believers who think they're very special, like they're God's best friend or Kami-sama's best friend. No, you're not special. No, you're no more special than anybody else. Kami-sama treats the ujiko with the same love and concern. Kami-sama loves all ujiko Not because you gave more money or you gave more offerings or you think you're more special or because you traveled all the way from LA to go to headquarters that you're more special. No. And Konko-sama is so interesting because without even knowing that's what they were thinking, he knew it was in their hearts. And this is our present Konko-sama, Reverend Heiki Konko. That's real. I want you to please remember this. You know, there's a very powerful teaching. All people living between heaven and earth are the beloved children of Kami. No, just because you offer more, or you can offer more, just because maybe you're best friends with the minister's children doesn't make you any more special than another person. Because all people living between heaven and earth are the beloved children of Kami. Let's head into the home street. So, so we're talking about the believer's perspective of Kami, about creating that relationship. But let me share with you a little bit about the minister's reception of it, because I think it's important for you to understand. It's very important for you to all understand. When the offering is given, it can be a food offering, monetary offering. It is put onto the altars, given to Kami-sama. It is offered to Kami-sama, is offered to the Mitama spirits. It becomes offerings, these simple things from your heart. It's very interesting. I have never, living in Hawaii, maybe it's a different mindset, I'm not sure. Or maybe because I was surrounded by a lot of Japanese ministers versus American-born ministers that I have this mindset. But we do not view these offerings as money or food any longer. It is called osagari. Osagari, when it's brought down from the altar, osagari. Osagari is offerings that have been taken down from the altars. This osagari, in our perspective, is the ujikos, or your sincere heart. Is your sincere heart. Not my sincere heart. It's your heart. And so it is our responsibility to use this osagari responsibly. It is our responsibility to use. When I was in the board of director meetings at the Honolulu church, never, ever did any board member ever call our budget money. Not one person. We always called it osagari, or this is the believer's heart. I've never heard anyone talk about, the money in the bank. No. It's the offerings that were in the bank, the osagari that was in the bank. It is a ujiko, sincere heart. Not one time did I hear that. I don't know. I can't speak about the other churches here because I'm new to this diocese, but that's something important to understand. And when it comes to responsibility, I have the same philosophy as the Ginza Church, and let me share with you what the Ginza Church does. Let me get an example. So the Ginza Church is a kind of like our brother church, our big brother church in Tokyo for our church. And typically you have an offering. I don't care if you have the Japanese mark or whatever it says, but you have an offering. And what they do since the time of their founding minister is they took this offering. The name is written in the prayer notebook. The offering is flipped over so the name can never be revealed, and it's handed to a completely different minister. A pile is made. Once the pile is made, once there's a pile, this minister then begins to open up the offering. And then he places the offering, whatever the monetary offering is, the offering is placed downward, and the envelope and the offering are separated. However, throughout this process, each minister, so the minister who's writing the name down and where this person is from, is offering a prayer. And the prayer is in appreciation to this person. Thank you, Kami-sama, for that this person was allowed to give this offering and that we receive their magokoro, we receive their sincere heart. The minister who separates them then begins the prayer because they don't know who the person is. The prayer is for every time it's separated. Kami-sama, thank you for this person. This person did not have to give such an offering. And we pray that you will bless this person. I think it's 10 times over. I could be wrong. I forgot what the number was. But we pray that you will bless this person because they did not have, and literally the prayer is they did not have to give this offering, but they did. In appreciation to you, please bless this person. Shower them with your favor to make up this loss. Not, and in their mind, they could have spent it on something else, but it's separated so that they can make this up somehow, some way. It'll come into their wallets, or it'll come into their paychecks some way. And that is a prayer that is constantly done at the Ginza Church. 2 separate prayers, one in appreciation to this person when they're writing it down, flip over, hand it to the next minister who separates, once the pile is made, separates the nakami, the inside from the wallet, but in prayer to say thank you. Every time it's split, thank you. Thank you. Please shower this person with favor. Shower this person with blessings. It is a responsibility, our responsibility, a huge responsibility we have, because we're not talking about money. We're not talking about food. We're talking about your heart. We're talking about your faith. This is your heart and your faith. You didn't have to do it. And I don't know of any other religion who'll say it this way. I don't know of any other religion who says it is not a requirement to give. I don't know of any other, someone correct me, I'm sure you can. I don't know of any other religion that says this is your sincere heart. So let's kind of review. By the way, anyway. So let's sort of review. What is an offering? Offering is a relationship between you and Kami-sama and the ancestors. That is what an offering is. 2, it helps with your faith development. The more your faith develops, the more you're going to start thinking, gosh, I wish I could do more. When I first arrived here at San Diego Church, there were only fruits and vegetables that were being offered. And to me, I said, no, I cannot do this because I feel so bad. I don't know if it's because of the church I came from, but I felt, no, I need to do more for Kami-sama. And even though I live off of a budget, somehow Kami-sama has always, in some manner or some way, allowed me the opportunity to say thank you, found them, just showered me with that favor that we can do the types of offerings that we have at our church. You think we were at like a regular normal church. Offerings are not bribes. Offerings are not bribes. You don't give an offering to get something back. No. Offerings come from your heart. I'll never forget my that Kodama Sensei that I shared with you. When I lived in San Jose, it was her 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember what year memorial she had, but I told myself I wanted to have her memorial service at the San Jose church. I remember speaking with Ishiwata Sensei, and Ishiwata Sensei said, you don't have to spend a lot of money, Todd, but you're not going to listen to me. So I know. And she took it very responsive. She was very serious when she said, Todd Sensei, I'm going to pray because Kami-sama is going to take care of you. Oh, perfumes are awesome. The day of the service, it looked like it was a Godaisai, grand ceremony, a huge grand ceremony. This lady came 2 hours from Monterey, and she thought, did I miss the Godaisai? I didn't know today was a Godaisai. I spoke to my spiritual mentor about what I wanted to do, and my spiritual mentor said, don't worry, Kami-sama is going to take care of you. Definitely, Kami-sama took care of me. The day of the service, for some reason, I'm in the shower, and I realized, I got to get the mail. So I got out of the shower, I went to get the mail, and there was a check from Stanford University, a refund check for what? I don't know. It was a refund check that covered all the offerings. But I told myself if my credit cards went over, my checks bounced, I didn't care. I wanted to do this for my parent minister, and Kami-sama took care of it for me. This is the power of your heart and that relationship, your heart and your relationship with Kami-sama. That's the power that Osanai has. It doesn't have to be here at church. It can be at your own altars as well. And finally, you are not more special than anybody else. You are a precious child of Kami. You are a precious child of Kami-sama. That's the most important thing to remember. So there is no, I donated $1 million, you should treat me special. There is no, I'm president of the United States, treat me special. Believe me, if you go through the stories in here, there are stories of where a samurai came and samurai expected to be treated special. Nope, Honko Daijin did not do that. Nope, you're not special just because you're a samurai or you're some feudal lord or whatever. No, Kami-sama did not treat these people any special. So I hope you got some idea or a better understanding of what offerings are, especially in Konkokyo. It's not complex. It's not hard to understand. And I think offerings are one of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ways to reflect your heart, to strengthen your relationship with Kami-sama, strengthen your relationship with the ancestors. And really, I think, just be able to, just to have that special relationship, to create that relationship with your ancestors, with Kami-sama. I think that's one of the most powerful, powerful things about offerings. So, I know in question 2, I think one of the questions was, do you have any more questions about offerings? Hopefully, we were able to respond to I was able to respond to those questions. Are there any questions that you might have? If you want to throw it in, we have a few more minutes. You can throw it into the chat room. I'll do my best to respond to them. Any questions you might have? I like the idea of offering perfumes. That's very interesting. I know, unagi sounds so delicious, doesn't it? Going once, going twice, 3 times. All right, so I would assume I think you all probably have a really good understanding. Just know that this video will be up, always up, for all of you to watch if you need to kind of just review it some more. But again, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me. Some of you do DM me on Facebook. That's perfectly fine. You can shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to write about that. But please, 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 I ask that you think about this as a means to helping your faith. And again, at your own home altar or at your church, at either one, it is not a requirement, but it's something that can only help you. It cannot harm you. So with that, I wanted to make a few really quick announcements. Tomorrow, I'm leaving for Hawaii. I will return on December 6th, but I will still have access to my cell phone. I'll have access to Facebook, Instagram. I'll have my computer with me. So please, if you have to do otoritsugi, please feel free to do otoritsugi. I will have everything in Hawaii with me. It's an emergency trip that I have to do to go back home, but I will return on December 6th. Our Kyoko Rosha Hotokusai and our December monthly memorial service will still be held the week after. So 6 + 7 is 13th. I think it's the 13th. Then I will go to Whittier to do their end of the year service, and then the end of the year service will be done the following week. So we'll still have our services. I'll be back in time for our services. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you at our service next month. And then finally, if you have not done the Google Forms, please do the Google Forms down below. I would greatly appreciate it. So that being stated, thank you all very much for joining us today. And I will see you all next month. But again, you'll probably, for those of you who see me on Facebook, you see me all the time. Please take care. Please, 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 please stay safe. And we shall see you again soon. Ahui ho.